Do you think that there's anything to the criticisms that say, is it really independent? Because who chooses the board? I assume that Facebook actually has some say over who gets to be on the board. There's a salary involved, right? So I think one of the questions I think people have is, to what extent do you think it really can be an independent board?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I actually am, to date, the only member of the board whose appointment was not affirmed by Facebook, because the original sort of the contract that was set up when the board was created was Facebook would have the authority to determine the original members of the board, but that if somebody stepped down, it would be the board itself that could designate a replacement. And I actually was a replacement for someone who stepped down to join the Biden administration after serving very briefly on the board. I will say this, though. The people who are involved have reputations and stature, and they're serious, and they're not interested in being seen to pander to the company. And they, in these debates, they approach it, I do think, with a high degree of professionalism and independence. At the same time, we are structurally very dependent on the company at multiple levels. Every case involves trying to dig out information so that we can contextualize and understand the scope of the problem. How often does this happen? Why exactly was the content taken down? What's your policy for this kind of situation? And we're dependent on them to answer those questions. And honestly, sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. We ask for information. We want to see lists of people who are entitled to special privileges on the platform. They say no. They're privacy considerations. Our lawyers say, no, actually, under these privacy regulations, there's a way to provide this information. We still don't get it. And so I think the credibility of the platform hinges in significantly on Facebook's willingness to play ball. And I would say, that is, to date, only a partial success. I think there's still a very self-protective, image-oriented instinct. There are still, even within the company, I think, mixed feelings about the board. I think some are fully on board and supportive and believe this is part of the future of the company. And there are others who think this is a thorn in their side. Why are they intruding? It's none of their business, and want to slap them down. And one of the dilemmas of I'd say the initial stages of the board is a feeling that, well, look, if we play too hardball, they may shut us out entirely. And so we have to develop a kind of collaborative modus operandi. We can't be too tough lest this experiment kind of fail on inception. I frankly think we're past that stage. I think we've gotten to the point where people do see some value in the board, and it's important to assert even the limited powers that we have.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.